The Aesops are meant to be wearing some sort of uniform, so their clothes color palette-wise are all the same. I do appreciate how the actual style of the clothes gets to be different, slightly highlighting the differences of the personalities and combat styles. Overall, though, they tend to read as visually forgettable, and it is because of that uniformity with their palettes. Since their clothes are so similar, I wish they really got to go all out with their hair and eye colors. Harriet's blonde forelocks, reminiscent of rabbit ears, and pink eyes stand out, but the others all feel like little more than background characters, and people have said, "Ooh, Atlas doesn't let you have unique colors," which, one, that's not true, look at Flint and Neon, that's never been a thing literally anyone from Atlas has ever expressed, and two, even if it was true, you're still designing characters for a visual medium, and they still need to stand out somehow. I like Pietro's wheelchair. It's cool. The spider-like legs are a neat way of leaning into the fantasy element of this world, and I think it would make climbing upstairs easier. I do wish there was more in his design that looked similar to Penny, like the shades of green he wore or something, maybe his eye color, but I do know the Penny project was a collaboration between a few people, and we don't know the circumstances of how they all landed on this design for her. Pietro is very charming though. The big pink bow and soft color palette helps him read as being gentle yet sophisticated. Without the unique wheelchair though, I wonder if he would feel more forgettable. Accessories can play a big role in a character's design. I'm conflicted about Penny's upgraded design. I really like the outfit. The frills, the bows, the shoes, it's very, very cute, and feels like a natural upgrade from her original design. What I can't get behind though is her hair. I am not a fan of the longer hair. Even with the concept art or promotional material, it just doesn't work. It just looks weird, like glued on lumps, and it doesn't help that it looks its worst when it's in engine with the show. Her bangs now, also with the switch to Maya, feel very, very Play-Doh-y, like gloop sliding down her head. It's just flat, textureless mass of blech. Her original look was so cute and iconic. This one feels like they're trying too hard. I really like Ruby's Volume 7 outfit. I'll admit, I've never really been a fan of how her hair was styled before, and this more dynamic thing going on with her bangs is so much cuter, and also gives her a much better silhouette. The concept art makes her sleeves look thicker than how her in-engine model looks, but the character's looking too cold for Atlas is going to be a consistent problem. If I brought it up every time, I'd just be a broken record. In general, I think the designers really missed out on doing some super cute things with the adorable winter-styled clothes, but Ruby here at least works really well. This feels like a natural upgrade from her prior outfits. Less frills, less superfluous elements. Ruby reads as much more mature in this design. I absolutely hate this design with Weiss. What a regression for her character. She spent the last few volumes deciding not to be the Schnee princess anymore, so why did they put her in a huge ball gown? It's too big, it's cumbersome, in engine it looks terrible anytime her legs move slightly apart during combat. It feels like the exact opposite of Ruby's progression. There's so many extra frills, a million stupid straps and accessories. Weiss looks younger and less mature in this design. Also, I hate her hair. The braid looks horrible in the show's engine, and the bangs make her look like she's a completely different character. It's like with Penny's model. It's textureless and smooth and looks like dried Play-Doh. Whoever approved of this design should be ashamed of themselves. It completely misses the point of Weiss's character, and obviously doesn't work with their animation engine and looks like a pile of hot garbage. How could you ruin Best Girl like this? Let's just get it out of the way. The way they modeled her hair for the show made her look really bad. It looks like greasy slime sliding down her head. It's not flattering, and they tried to fix it a bit after Volume 7, but even their fixes doesn't help a ton. Looking at the concept art, the shorter hair looks much, much, much better. Anyways, as for her outfit, I've seen people justify the overabundance of white because she's a ninja, and ninjas wear white to blend in with the snow. And yeah, sure, but also, she's not being a ninja in this volume, and her signature color is supposed to be black. Hell, I'd be happy if she was just wearing more purple. If you didn't know any better, you'd think the W in RWBY was white for Blake and the B was blue for Weiss. What's worse is it's just a goofy design in general. The knee pads are weird, the zippers and straps are buffoonish, reading more like a parody of a bad Final Fantasy character rather than an official design for a main protagonist. I do like Yang's design. Yes, the one pant leg rolled down is very silly looking and makes no sense, but the rest of it I do like. I like the fighter pilot jacket. I wish the sleeves were thicker in the actual show, but that's to be expected. It's a bit of a muted color palette, but I think it actually really works. Keeping it more simplistic is a very welcome change of pace compared to the literally everything else she's ever worn. It's a crime she didn't get to wear her orange sunglasses more. She wears them for like 3 seconds and then never again. A 10 out of 10 accessory that should have been used way more often. Overall, this look makes it feel like Yang was actually taking this seriously, or at least more seriously than some of the others. I do wish the model in the show made the bandana around her neck tighter. Having it so loose makes her neck look too skinny. Literally, everything that looks ugly and bad about these characters always boils down to how they were modeled in the actual show. It's bonkers. Okay, I'm ready for every comment to just be about Jean's banana hair. Like, when he's moving, I think it looks fine, but every single still image, especially the promo ones they used before the volume aired, yeah, it's just bananas. Maybe if it was like a texture rather than being modeled this way, it would read better. As for the rest of his design, just like before, Jean is taking natural steps forward. The armor fits him even better, and now both arms match. His boots are even more sturdy and combat ready. The jeans and hoodie are more form-fitted. Once again, he's refined his attire to be better suited for his mission. It's really well done. It's just a shame everyone gets too hung up on the banana hair to notice. I don't understand what the heck went wrong with Nora's design here. Nora had a clear style for her previous looks, and this one just throws all of it out the window. Her dress is super short and sleeveless, which makes her look the least fit for the cold environment. Burying the black elements underneath the whites and pinks means she's overwhelmingly bright. The teal collar especially being weird. It matches her eye color, but that just means my eyes never travel through the rest of her design. The black accents is meant to break up some of that brightness, but burying it underneath everything means she just visually becomes white noise. On top of that, cutting her hair to look the same as the Beacon days feels like a regression for her character. I get the feeling whoever designed this just really didn't know what they were doing. Ren's Volume 7 look is fine, if forgettable. Where Nora's design changed really drastically, Ren's hasn't changed enough. At a glance, you might not even realize his outfit is much different, and the major differences aren't even very good. The one all-black sleeve with the pink armpit is a confusing decision. Removing the pink on his hands just means his arms and hair tend to get lost on top of each other. I do like how he's braided his hair and cut off the long coattails. Those decisions feel like Ren's more combat ready, but again, I get the feeling whoever designed this didn't really know what to do with this character. Finally, the boy has peaked. Hands down, the best design he's ever had is his Volume 7 one. The full beard, the more drastic splash of grays on his sideburns makes him feel older and more mature. The uniform has always been a little one note, this time adding the blues and reds to match the Aesop's design. Though I do like the red arrows on his jacket, pointing to his heart and then also directing your eye up through his tie towards his face. I think what really makes this one pop is the very durable looking shoes. He finally looks like he's ready to throw himself into battle. His prior uniforms felt very restrictive, like performative wear. This more dynamic element for his design helps matches his more turbulent action choices for the final volumes. This uniform is a huge improvement compared to her original look from Volume 3. The first one was giving frivolous vibes, while this one feels like she's actually taking this job seriously, not just playing dress-up. While it does look more battle-ready, it does unfortunately feel a little bland. Listen, it happens a lot with Atlas's military uniforms, and they're just not nearly as interesting as the Hunter's more vibrantly designed outfits. It sure is a whole heck of a lot better than her upgraded version for Volume 8. Holy holy cow, what happened? Why are you wearing a whole back brace? Is this supposed to be armor? Because it just looks like someone lazily threw crap all over your outfit. That, mixed with the looser ponytail, makes it look like this outfit had less care put into it than before. Just so lazy and ugly looking. Hey, take that hot man and now make him 1,000 times hotter. Yes! Yeah! Crow! Go boy! What a massive improvement for his design. I'm actually blown away at how much better this design looks. I didn't think they'd be able to best Crow's classic, simplistic style, but here we are! The stylish vest with the intricate leaf pattern on his sleeve is so much more visually engaging. It makes it feel like he's sort of stepping things up a bit for himself. His old shirt looked very casual, comfy, maybe a bit of a lazy decision to wear, but now that he's given up his alcoholic ways, he's trying to make himself a bit more presentable. And I really think that's cool. Also, the overall darker color palette helps him to match RWBY more too, and that's a really sweet touch. I can't believe they took Robin Hood, the classic rogue who iconically wears green, and made Robin and put her in this garbage puke color instead. It's hideous. Everything about her design is hideous. I get the Atlas military guys being stuck in boring uniforms, but why do the Happy Huntresses have to wear bland military-esque designs too? The overbearing blacks and reds just make her greens feel even less impressive than they already did. Her hair is a boring style, her hair color is a boring choice. Wow, another light blonde bitch in RWBY? I've never seen that before. The purple eyes is the only interesting thing about her design. Boring, bland, ugly, basic. I feel like they just put no effort into her design, and that sucks. So, the Aesops all wore the same colors, but got to wear different styles of clothes. The Happy Huntresses got to wear all different colors, but they wear the exact same styles. Between the two, I hate this decision more. I just get nothing for their personalities this way. It also doesn't help that they all have the same dumb weapon, too. At least these gals have some unique hair colors and styles. May's long braid is especially eye-catching, and Fiona's voluminous hairstyle is very unique and super adorable. Side thing, what would you call this hairstyle? Because I called it an afro one time, and then someone yelled at me on Twitter that I was wrong, but it's not a pixie cut, right? That would be a lot shorter, so like, I don't know. Anyways, I'd love to see them wearing casual outfits. Their personalized hairstyles are so cool, I'd bet they'd look really awesome if given the chance. Willow looks technically fine. The high collar and frilly cravat makes her look appropriately upper crust. The mom ponytail that sits on her shoulder is a unique change of pace compared to her similarly color-coded daughters' high ponytails. And I appreciate that her color palette leans towards purple rather than the usual blues of the Schnee family. It gives her a unique touch. But overall, I just wish she looked older. The very small lines under her eyes is just not enough. I don't know, kind of like most designs from Volume 7, it just feels like they chose the easy, lazy options for her. Salem has decided it's time to take over the world herself, and that means giving herself a huge tit window and revealing her shoulders. Seriously, what is this? This is so silly. First of all, the design overall is barely different from what she originally wore. A lot of people didn't even realize her outfit changed at the end of Volume 7, and the only ways it did change was there's a bit more red lines in the dress, there's some bone armor pieces glued to her biceps, and now she's just showing off way more skin than before. I don't know, it just feels silly. A silly, weird, slightly more horny direction to go with. I don't know. They just didn't know what they were doing with Volume 7, did they? Time for some random background characters I almost forgot about. Forrest is dumb and ugly. He's just a less interesting version of Shady Man. And I think it was weird that Rooster Teeth tried to, like, make him a thing. Right? That was weird. Council members Sleet and Camilla sure are just regular people. I appreciate that they have some unique features, like Camilla's shorter, more stout body type, and Sleet's glasses are neat. Finally, Fiona's uncle. He seems to be a badger faunus based on his giant, horrible claws. They're definitely the most noteworthy thing about his design. Without them, you wouldn't bother remembering this man, and neither would I. White hair is used to symbolize snow, especially in RWBY. That's why the Shnees have their hereditary white hair and blue eyes. So it must have been a difficult hurdle to design a character who has those traits to match the style of the Winter Maiden, but also make sure they don't look like a Shnee themselves. I think it was pretty genius making Freya a very old woman. She can have the iconic snowy white hair, but it's because of how much she's aged. On top of making her eyes a more royal shade of blue, which differentiates her from the Shnees' icy blue, but it's still a good fit for her role as Winter Maiden. She has a very, very minimal role, but I really like Freya. There's a quiet power to her, and despite having minimal screen time, she really stood out to me. Emerald finally gets a new outfit, and it's fine. Honestly, it's so similar to her original one, I had to do a double take to realize she had changed anything. It's like the bare minimum of an Atlas-inspired outfit for her. Oh, it's snowy here, just make her sleeves slightly longer. Gotta keep those forearms, tummy, and tits exposed, though. No, it doesn't matter that their aura can keep them warm. RWBY expressed being cold even with her aura, and it makes your characters look dumb. Anyways, back to Emerald, it's fine. I think the best addition is the red necklace. It really helps to make her eyes pop. Mercury also changed his outfit too, and, well, it's not like it could have been worse than before. The hint of blue with that dash of orange details surprisingly does wonders to jazz up the design. Who would have guessed just a little addition like adding a keychain to his pants would elevate the look to feeling more complete. Although, it does sort of just look like Mercury stole these pants and can't get the security tag off of them, right? It's a fine design, I suppose. Nothing amazing or too stand out, but it's not horrible or anything either. Hazel, no! What did they do to you? This should have been a flashback outfit for him, right? Like, I'm not sure why, but this looks like he's younger here. The dumbest thing is this looks worse for the cold environment than what he was already wearing. He went from wearing long sleeves and a coat to wearing this open shirt thing that shows the whole world your titties. On one hand, I appreciate the more prominent shade of green and how we can get a better look at his scars, but on the other hand, this splash of yellow is so not flattering with the rest of this look. The shape language of the whole design is blocky and hideous. I hate everything about it. Back in Volume 6, they made Jin, and she was a sexy blue magic lady with her tits out. And I guess to make things even, they made Ambrosius, a sexy blue man with his tits out. So now when they make mouse pads and body pillows with these characters, people can't call them sexist. Don't forget about the Salem one. I don't really have much to say about his design. Discussion for Ambrosius is more fun to talk about his carefree personality rather than his outfit. I guess I could say I'm glad he has a different skin tone and hair color to Jin. They could have gone the lazy route and made them both the same, and I'm glad they didn't. So I want to talk about the guy who was inside the Hound, because I think they made a couple of mistakes here. First of all, he has silver eyes. I'll be honest, the first 2 times I watched this scene, I did not register that his eyes were silver. It doesn't help that we've seen people with gray eyes. Mercury even comes back this volume. But also, all of the scarring and oozing was much more eye-catching than his eye color. Next, for a second there, I thought this might have been Adam. Maybe it was just me. The large scar is on the wrong side, but the hair color and style looked reminiscent of Adam's. Also, he has ears, fox ears, I'm assuming. They were not easy to see in the show, and at a glance, I definitely thought it was just Adam's horns. I think if his ears were more prominent, if he had a different hair color, and if his eyes were brighter and more saturated in the scene, it would have helped the big reveal. Team Funky came back. I'll start with Cobalt, because they're the most boring. Like, come on, he'd blend right in with Cardin's team. Boring blue armor, next. Ivory, on the other hand, looks super cool. The glasses and the fashion-forward style is really unique and stands out among the crowd. Neon gets the biggest change. I like the cat ear-inspired buns a lot better than her large pigtails from before. Also, the cat paw sleeves on her jacket is adorable. And Flint's changes are hard to notice at first, but he is done up much more professionally, where before he seemed more casual. At least as casual as a suit can get. A neat detail to show that he's matured over the years. Madam and the stepsisters all share the same hair and eye color. Usually I find this boring, but in this case it's an easy shorthand to tell us they're all biologically related. Also, the styles of their hair are different, so I don't mind. Importantly, they seem designed to contrast Cinder. Cinder has dark hair and yellow eyes. They have light hair and blue eyes. Blue is the opposite of orange on the color wheel. I think they're cute and neat, but if I had to gripe, I wish their outfits had more extravagant colors or designs. The browns and grays feel very homely, and I'd expect them to be much more opulent, especially to better hammer home how drab Cinder looks in comparison. Baby Cinder is so sad. Her uneven pigtails and the sunken-in cheeks, bags under her eyes, it's all pretty obvious designs to tell us that this kid is not properly cared for. When she has her growth spurt halfway through the backstory episode, she starts wearing her hair up in a more unified ponytail, but it still kind of messily frames her face. But also, it seems like she might be trying to mimic Rhodes's hairstyle here too, which is neat. The grown-up Cinder we know goes to such great lengths to paint herself as so perfect and strong. This messy, weak child we see offers a ton of insight into why she tries so hard to maintain her appearances. Rhodes has a purple streak in his hair, and that makes him stand out so much, especially compared to the majority of characters introduced in these last few volumes. More fantasy hair colors, please! In all honesty, beyond the purple hair, there's not really much to comment on. He's designed to look big and strong and well-armored, so you know he's seen battle. When she's a kid, he has no scar, but when he comes back a few years later, he does. Which is a cool way to show the passage of time for him as well, rather than just giving him face lines or graying of his hair. It's a competently made design. Well done. Little is a mouse. And that's kind of it. To be fair, that's all they're supposed to be, and apparently rigging this model was really hard, so good job on that, I guess. My biggest thing is this is such a boring color for a mouse, which I know is like the biggest nitpick ever. It's just that we see other mice, and they have cool fantasy colors. Why couldn't the one mouse who travels with us get that too? Anyways, after ascending, Little becomes Somewhat, who very clearly has taken inspiration from RWBY when it comes to their new design. They're wearing a cape just like RWBY. In the show, it's orange, but in RWBY Beyond, it was much more reddish. The redder color makes the RWBY inspiration more obvious, I say. A memorable little friend through and through. I suppose I'll talk about the Jabberwocker. I like how they were able to make it feel like a monster, but still make it feel distinct from a Grimm. It's still clearly the progenitor of what would eventually become a Grimm by the younger god's design though, and it's a neat touch. But I admit, it's also just kind of boring. This body shape is very simplistic, and the details like the face and tail just don't capture a lot of the fantasy I'd expect from being in a Wonderland-like fairy tale. Which is kind of true for all of the Ever After designs, if I'm being honest. Jinxie is a raccoon, and that's about it. Similar to what I was saying about Little beforehand, I guess I would have liked to see some more fantastical color combos at play here, though I suppose we've never seen a remnant raccoon before, so we don't really know how different or unique Jinxie is compared to the remnant norm. His outfit is cute and simple, and that's about it, I guess. That's just, what else can I say? He's just a raccoon wearing a little outfit. I guess they played around with something. Maybe giving him crazier eye colors, maybe giving him some neat accessories to lean into his, vibe of stealing things, stealing random trash that he finds. I don't know. It's so simple. He just doesn't stand out compared to any other character from the Ever After. It's so boring. I really like how they lean into the doll aesthetic for the Red Prince. Not only with how he gets a crack when he gets angry, but also the joints in his knees. He truly feels like the first really fantastical thing in the Ever After. Also, it's a little thing, but I like the diamond-shaped pupils, slightly reminiscent of the playing card inspiration from his fairy tale, the Queen of Hearts. Also, I appreciate how his design goes all out with the reds. I feel like recently, RWBY designs are afraid to lean into their specific colors, Robin, and it's nice seeing them go ham here. The Curious Cat is clearly taking heavy inspiration from Disney's version of the Cheshire Cat. The pinkish-purple color palette especially makes that clear. Though I admit, they do still make the Curious Cat distinct in their own ways, mostly with how they're animated. They do a lot of interesting things once they're in motion. Also, the lineless style doesn't always work with RWBY's animation style they're going for, but I think they really nailed it with the cat, which helps add to the fantastical feeling. I feel like we lose a bit of their charm when we go into brawler mode. It just feels a little basic, a little too humanoid. I would have appreciated them keeping it more feline and quadrupedal. The Herbalist is a lot of blue, and I'm gonna be honest, I think it's a bit boring. Don't get me wrong, they definitely jazzed up the idea of a caterpillar in a unique way. The third eye is not only visually standout, but also is a fun reference to his gimmick of seeing more, something opening your third eye is supposed to do. But yeah, all the blue? A bit boring, and honestly weakens the unique aspects of his design. He also has so many details and extra elements, but they all just sort of become white noise layered on top of each other. And he wasn't described as blue in the original book. That was a decision Disney popularized. I wish RT hadn't have stayed in Disney's shadow and tried something really colorfully unique with him. I mean, he works with the rainbow leaves. Why can't that be reflected in his design more? The Blacksmith is one of the all-time coolest designs to ever come out of this show. Oh my god, it's so creative and clever. I love the hair, how like it's made of chains and cables. There's a ton of really interesting small details, bits and bops, and I wish we could have gotten a shot where we get a really good look at their whole body, just so we could just enjoy it more, see all the cool extra elements they clearly put a lot of effort into. My favorite bit, this little piece of the tree that's growing out of their back. That's really cool. I think keeping their face very plain helps to make their expressions clear, and also helps draw your eye to their face so it stands out against the busyness of the rest of the design. It's all just so interesting. This is the best design to come out of Volume 9. Okay, it's impossible for me to talk about this design without also addressing the story decisions around it. The rusted look of the armor is neat and looks interesting and complements his blonde hair well. But how did Jean upgrade his armor? This seems to be the same armor from before. The cut of the chest piece looks the exact same. Where did he get the extra parts to even out his shoulders? Why didn't he get to keep the complete armor set once he turned back into a 20-year-old at the end? RWBY's engine has always been kind of weird with beards. I think it's fine, but not amazing. The white streak in his hair does a better job showing us his age. And despite the confusing decisions around him going through this aged arc, I do like how he gets to keep the white streaks in his hair. It reminds me how originally his hair just faded to the near white shade of yellow before. It's almost like they could have just kept that idea around the whole time or something. When I said I wanted to talk about every character, I meant it. I think she's super cute. Yes, she's just a teapot with anime eyes, but dang it, I like the execution of it. I think the painted details on her pot is a pleasant design, and I appreciate the overall muted color palette. It helps to make the hot pink of her eyes pop more. Keeping the inside of her pot pitch black also helps to sell the idea of a face around her eyes. I like her. I think she's fun. I like how she can't grab things because she doesn't have hands, so instead she just like has a super hose function and sucks up everything inside of her teapot. It's neat. I like her a lot. #1 teapot lady fan. Making the paper pleasers star-shaped was a smart choice. Not only is it just a unique shape, but also it makes it easy to recognize them again once they've ascended into the genial gems. Between the two, I do prefer the paper designs though, just because the origami folds on their corners is more interesting to look at, and because they're paper, they can have more unique patterns than what we've seen with their gem versions. The fact they're all bright candy colors makes it fun to guess which ones Jean has named after his friends, and also makes their gem forms feel more special than just normal stone colors would have felt. They're simple, but well executed. I talked about Zwei before, so I might as well talk about Juniper. Jackalopes, or rabbits with antlers, are cool. I'll admit, this is a super cool decision for a mount, and it's way more interesting than something like a horse would have been. The yellow is a great compliment to Jean, and when Somewhat takes over as her owner at the end, it still matches their design too. Though I admit, it matched a bit better when Somewhat's cape looked orange rather than the red we see in RWBY Beyond. I also really like the shape of her horns. large, regal, stand out and cool. They almost make a sun-like shape, and it makes her a lot more memorable. Also, the large curve in the middle makes it easy to still see her rider past her antlers when they're on her back. 10 out of 10 animal companion. My favorite part of Alex's design is her bow. It's really cute, makes her silhouette more interesting, and feels slightly reminiscent of bunny ears. Her tight curled hair is also a very appreciated change of pace compared to most designs in RWBY, but I admit, I wish there was something more magical in her color palette, like a streak of blue in her hair, or maybe fantasy colors for her eyes, like gold or purple. In all the 2D art, the sash around her waist is just a shade of blue. Her 3D model incorporates gold and red, which I think helps tie the look together a lot better, and adds a bit of visual flair to jazz up the design a bit more. Lewis, however, is a lot more bland than his sister, dressed in a Victorian sort of fashion. The most standout part of his design are his large gold glasses. His clothes are much more muted than Alex's. It's easy to overlook him, though I suppose that actually makes a lot of sense with his role in the story. I got a comment asking about the hawker. I am here to please. I don't know, I just really like anime eyes on normal things, right? Like, he's just a regular bird. A very pretty bird with magnificent shades of blue, but really there's not much else to say. I like his hat, I like that he wears little pants, and the colors of his two clothing options are a nice complement to his royal blues. I appreciate the decision to give him these teeny tiny little bird feet. It makes him much more approachable and cute compared to actual birds' gigantic nightmare talons. I don't like birds. They scare me. Well, it only took 9 years, but they finally gave Summer Rose her own unique design. I like the way the bun has been styled to look like a rose. That's a really smart and cute idea, actually. I also like how her dress has much more red. In the previous design, her dress was solid black. I like how they made the emphasis more on the reds, so it looks more distinct from RWBY, who tends to wear a lot of black in her dresses already. I like the frills and accents that make her look a bit more fanciful and leads your eye through the design, and incorporating some gold into the detail also helps to make her match Yang a bit more too. The whole design is incredibly well put together. It's just a shame it took us so long to actually get this. Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Andrew, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, Classic Critic, Genital War Thunder, Jake, Amber, Hype Man, Scaring Crows, Not All That Evil, Holly, Messiah, Jacob, Ben's Sketchbook, Rain, Omega Fighter, Trash, Wild Pilot, Josh, Twisty, Juan, Bunkin Duncan, Hoodie Angel, Ranger, Hut Mutt Butt, Cloudy Days, The Enigma, Primaroon, Overhypen, Curse Knight, Plague, Unspoken, Tyrene, Thanos, Pandemonium, and Peter. So yeah, I've finally finished the RWBY, the core show designs. I don't think I've missed anybody. No one important, at least. Next, I'm gonna do the RWBY supplemental material, and then after that, until they come out with something new for RWBY, that'll be it. I'm doing other design shorts as well. You can find them on my page. I do Modica Magica design shorts. I'm doing Animal Crossing. I've done Amazing Digital Circus and Has Been Hotel. Lots of fun stuff. More for you to see. I'll make more compilation videos as time goes on. I hope you had fun with this one. Thanks for showing up. Let me know what your favorites are in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.